Hello loves and welcome to today's video. This wasn't planned to be such an intensive series, but somehow my spring cleaning has turned into 3 different videos. If you caught my last video, I did a huge spring clean of my apartment and went through all of my closets and my shelves. And I did find more books in my closet that I forgot I had. In putting them out on my red shelf, I had to get rid of some things. So today we're going to be going over the books that I removed from my shelf. I will be bringing these to a local used bookstore and donating them. So let's get started. The first few books are all memoirs from various figures that I have purchased over time, and at this point I'm not going to reread, so let's move them along. The first is Where Am I Now? True Stories of Girlhood and Accidental Fame by Mara Wilson. This is the actress who played Matilda. She was also in Mrs. Doubtfire, which are some movies that I loved as a person growing up as a child. I did really enjoy this book. It was really interesting, but I'm probably not going to reread this, so I may as well move this along and let someone else enjoy it. Next, we have Born Lippy, How to Do Female by Jo Brand. This is kind of a mix of memoir and advice for women. Jo Brand is a British comedian. I'm a huge fan of hers from her appearances on the show QI. I did enjoy this, but again, just probably never gonna reread it, so may as well pass it along to someone else who might enjoy it. Next, we have Hashtag Very Fat, Hashtag Very Brave by Nicole Byer. This is the fat girl's guide to being hashtag brave and not a dejected, melancholy, dumb in the dumps, weeping fat girl in a bikini. So this is a little bit a book about body confidence, but it is also just like a lot of pictures of Nicole Byer in bathing suits. Bought this back in the day because I wanted to support Nicole Byer. At the time, I was a big fan of her podcast. Haven't listened to the podcast in a very long time. Never gonna reread this. May as well let someone else enjoy it. And the next two are remnants of my true crime era. I used to listen to a lot of true crime podcasts when I was working a data entry job. I don't work that job anymore. I've moved on to listening to a lot more audiobooks compared to podcasts, and also not as comfortable with true crime content as I was at the time. So the first is Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered by Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark. These are the hosts of My Favorite Murder, which was a podcast I was listening to religiously at the time before they moved on to doing like myths and cryptids. This goes over their lives and gives you, advice on how to stay sexy and not get murdered. Not gonna reread this. I actually see a lot of copies of this in my used bookstore, so I feel like I'm not the only one. The other true crime remnant and the last one in our memoir section is Mindhunter Inside the FBI's Elite Serial Crime Unit by John Douglas and Mark Olshanker. This is about the founding of the FBI's serial crime unit, how they use profiling to find serial killers. I bought this at the time because I had just watched the Mindhunter show and I was really interested, but again, not gonna reread this, and I'm not in my true crime era anymore, so let's move on. The next book was a little bit of a debate as to whether I was gonna keep it or not, just because I've had it for so long, and that's The Bro Code by Barney Stinson with Matt Kuhn. I used to be a huge fan of How I Met Your Mother for the first 4 seasons. I would watch the first season over and over and over again. I have owned this book since I was a teenager. Am I ever going to reread this? No. I have owned this for how long, and I've never thought to pick it up and read it again, so why am I keeping it when I have precious little shelf space and could keep other things? So let's Marie Kondo it. I appreciate your time spent with me, but we're moving on. Now let's move on to the fiction. So we have Agatha Christie and Then There Were None. This is probably one of Agatha Christie's most well-known mystery novels, and Then There Were None is not its original title because the original title was really racist. I bought this from Book Outlet fairly cheap. I'm not going to reread this, and Agatha Christie is popular enough that I can very easily find another copy of it if I did get the inkling to reread it, so let's move on. Full Disclosure by Beverly McLaughlin. This is a legal thriller. This is about a rich man who is accused of killing his wife. And our main character is a lawyer who is defending him even though everyone is convinced that he did it and that he's going to be found guilty. When I was in high school and early in university, Beverly McLaughlin was a name that I often saw on court cases because she was a serving member on Canada's Supreme Court for a while. She was one of the people that I looked up to and whose careers I admired, so I bought this. I don't think her writing career is one I'm going to follow as closely. So while I did keep this on my shelf for a while because I respect Beverly McLaughlin, I'm never gonna reread this. I didn't ever pick up the sequel, I don't think. So let's move this along. Next, we have Mostly Dead Things by Kristen Arnett. This is about a woman in Florida whose father has recently committed suicide. She is trying to grieve the loss of her father while also having to try and keep everyone in her family from falling apart. I bought this way back in the day because I used to follow Kristen Arnett on Twitter before she published this. Thought she was funny. Read this. Don't really remember much of it, but I don't remember loving it. So I'm going to move this along. I don't even have Twitter anymore. Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. This is about a mother who thinks she's turning into a dog as she's kind of going stir crazy looking after her newborn toddler. I have an entire video dedicated to reviewing this book and watching the movie, and if you watch that, I think I gave it like a 3.5. So not a love it enough for it to get a permanent place on my shelves. True Crime, a novel by Samantha Kolesnik. This is about a brother and a sister, and the sister is underage. I think she's like 10 or 11 maybe, and she kills her abusive mom, and so it's the brother trying to flee with his sister and not get caught for the murder of his mother, and some very unfortunate things happen to them while they're doing that. This is kind of splatterpunk, and while I do like horror with gore, I don't think there was enough plot here for me to love this. So other people have different tastes. Someone else will love this. It's not me. Two books I'm gonna group together because they're by the same author, Tender is the Flesh and 19 Claws and a Blackbird by Augustina Bastarrica. I've been saying that name wrong, I think. Tender is the Flesh is about basically an alternative future where all meat is contaminated and no longer fit for human consumption except for human meat. They basically factory farm humans. I know a lot of people love this book. I didn't. I think a lot of the shock value comes from never having considered that humans would do that before. And a little bit of a story time. When I was in university, I was in human rights law, and I took this class called Controversy and Rights Theory, thinking it would be about, I don't know, human rights, because that's the degree program I was in. It was actually about animal rights. It was a seminar class, so we'd have a book to read every single week about the factory farming industry, and then we'd have this like class discussion about it. And every single week, there's a guy in my class who brought up the question of whether it'd be ethical to eat your own clone. So after 4 months straight of having that conversation on a weekly basis, Tender is the Flesh did not come as a shocking book to me. I thought it was a little mundane. Is the writing good? Yes. But for me, I wasn't that interested in the plot, so that one, I'll let someone else who loves it own it. 19 Claws and a Blackbird. This is a short story collection. Some were hits, some were misses. It ended up at an average score. Since I'm not keeping this one, I don't feel the need to keep this one either. I think I read this in a vlog for New Year's Eve a year ago, so I think there's more thoughts on which ones I liked, which ones I didn't in that video. I will probably put links to this somewhere in the description. And the last book that I'm gonna unhaul is Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Wong. This is about our main character who's a violin prodigy. After a traumatic event in her life, she stopped playing violin and gets a job at a skincare health spa. So we reveal what this traumatic incident in her past was while also uncovering the deep dark secrets of this health beauty industry. This one felt a little inconsistent in terms of writing for me, a little disjointed, so I didn't love this. So passing it along. I basically have gotten to the point with my shelves where there are a lot of books on it that I absolutely love. So when I'm finished a book, I have to make the decision of on-hauling the book that I just read or on-hauling something that was like a 4 or more. I think this was in the 3s, so it doesn't get to stay, unfortunately. These are all of the books that I am planning to on-haul in this quarter of the year. Let me know in the comments down below if you think that any of these I'm wrong about, that I should keep, that I misinterpreted and should give a second shot, or leave the looking glass emoji for my past as a true crime enthusiast. If you enjoyed, like and consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.